Charles Leclerc takes aim at Hamilton's driving style, claiming it could harm the team's performance in Sunday's Monaco Grand Prix. Don't miss Hamilton's explosive response at the end. Subscribe just to stay tuned for the Formula One news no one else explains to you. Charles Leclerc has just detonated a revelation so mind-bogglingly seismic that it's sending shockwaves through the very core of Ferrari, shaking up Maranello like never before. This bombshell comes at the most fragile, yet fiercely anticipated moment in Formula One. The Monaco Grand Prix, his home race, the place that has always carried both the sweet promise of glory and the bitter taste of near misses. And in a raw, uncharacteristically vulnerable admission, Leclerc has made it clear that the battle within Ferrari's walls is not just a matter of speed, it's now a battle of identities. The Monegasque prodigy, who has long been the pride of Ferrari, the golden boy hailed for his relentless pace and charismatic presence, has now revealed something no one, not even the most battle-hardened F1 insiders, could have predicted. He has confessed that he's been secretly studying and emulating none other than Lewis Hamilton. Yes, you heard that right. Charles Leclerc, once the fearless lone wolf who defined himself through his explosive, untamed style, has become a student of the very man who has been brought in to challenge his dominance at Ferrari. Not just any challenge. This is Lewis Hamilton, a 7-time world champion, a living legend whose precision, cold-blooded execution, and tactical mastery have redefined what it means to win in Formula One. And what's even more shocking, this isn't just a passing admiration. This is a full-on strategic adaptation. Leclerc, after studying Hamilton's telemetry, onboard footage, and racecraft in painstaking detail, has begun mirroring the very elements that made Hamilton the dominant force in F1. Every detail, every lap, every corner entry and braking zone is now being re-engineered to replicate Hamilton's approach. And the most jaw-dropping part? He's admitted to it. Not in arrogance, but in quiet, almost whispered recognition. To survive, he must evolve. Subscribe just to stay tuned for the Formula One news no one else explains to you. This isn't about idolization. It's not about trying to be Lewis Hamilton. No. This is about survival. This is about evolution in the face of ruthless competition. Leclerc is not trying to be the next Hamilton, he's becoming a new version of himself. A version that can match the precision, the consistency, and the tactical brilliance that Hamilton has mastered over years of unparalleled dominance. But why now? Why has Leclerc, known for his emotionally charged, sometimes erratic performances, suddenly turned to this almost obsessive study of Hamilton? The answer is simple, and it lies in the intense pressure surrounding Ferrari in 2025. The stakes have never been higher. With Hamilton now officially wearing red, Leclerc faces a challenge unlike any other, a rival who has proven time and again that he can win at the highest level, with surgical precision, even when the odds are stacked against him. And for Ferrari, the team that has been waiting for a true champion to lead them back to glory, Hamilton's presence is more than just a catalyst for performance. It's a declaration that nothing less than excellence will suffice. Leclerc, who once wore his heart on his sleeve and let his emotions drive his every move, has now embraced a calmer, colder version of himself. No longer the driver who made dazzling mistakes under pressure, he's now the driver who makes calculated decisions, learning not only from his own mistakes but from one of the greatest minds in the sport. His racecraft has become more calculated, more efficient, less emotional, and in a sport where seconds can determine everything, this shift could make all the difference. In fact, insiders within Ferrari have already noted the change. Engineers, who once saw Leclerc as a raw talent prone to bursts of brilliance followed by frustrating inconsistency, are now seeing a more composed, methodical driver. One engineer even described his new approach as ruthless efficiency, and compared it to Hamilton's own driving style. He's no longer the maverick racing on gut feeling. He's the architect of his own destiny, drawing upon the master's playbook to build his future success. Subscribe just to stay tuned for the Formula One news no one else explains to you. And Hamilton? How does he feel about this seismic shift in the internal dynamics at Ferrari? Publicly, he's as cool as ever. He's not one to show weakness or make emotional statements. But behind closed doors, things are a bit different. Sources close to Hamilton say that he's more aware of Leclerc's transformation than anyone. In fact, rumors suggest that he's been increasing his own simulator sessions, obsessively comparing his laps with Leclerc's to analyze how the younger driver is adapting. And when Hamilton was asked in a recent interview about Leclerc's rise, he reportedly paused before giving a cryptic, almost knowing smile. A sign that maybe, just maybe, he's feeling the heat from the man who's turning his eyes toward his crown. But what happens now? What happens when two drivers of this caliber, each learning from and adapting to the other, start competing on the same team, under the same banner? Will Ferrari thrive under the weight of this internal rivalry, or will it implode under the pressure? One thing is certain, this is no longer just a fight for supremacy between two drivers. This is a battle of identities, of futures, of legacies. Ferrari's 2025 campaign is about to get much more complicated. And at the heart of it all, Monaco looms large. Leclerc's home Grand Prix, where his dreams have been crushed in front of his home crowd time and time again. But this time, it's different. This time, it's no longer just about beating the others. It's about proving something much deeper. To himself, to Hamilton, and to the entire world, that he's not just the future of Ferrari. He's their present. Because when you stop chasing perfection, and you start engineering it, that's when you become dangerous. And Charles Leclerc has just crossed that line. The only question that remains is, will he rise, or will the weight of his transformation crush him? As we head into Monaco, one thing is clear, the stakes have never been higher. And Leclerc? He's playing for everything. Charles Leclerc is no longer just a prodigy behind the wheel. He's becoming something far more dangerous. Far more complete. Because while talent may ignite a Formula One career, it's obsession that builds a legacy. And right now, Leclerc is diving headfirst into the mindset of the man who turned obsession into art, Lewis Hamilton. But this isn't just admiration. It's transformation. When Leclerc speaks of Hamilton, he doesn't sound like a rival. He sounds like a scholar describing a master craftsman. He's not just fast, Charles said. He's meticulous. Methodical. The ultimate architect of speed. Hamilton isn't merely quick, he's deliberate. Every session, every lap, every breath he takes in that cockpit has a purpose. He's the last man to leave the garage. The one who sits in debriefs with monk-like discipline. The one who doesn't just feel the car, he interrogates it, rewrites its language, rebuilds it from the inside out. He doesn't drive, he dissects. And now, Leclerc is doing the same. He's studying Lewis. Mimicking his throttle modulation, especially in slow-speed corners where Ferrari's SF25 has bled performance. Circuits like Baku, Miami, Monaco, tracks that punish any lack of traction with ruthless finality. This used to be Ferrari's soft underbelly. Now, it's a lab. A proving ground. And Leclerc is learning to master what once destroyed him. He's not hiding it. If it's the right thing to do, I'll use it, Charles declared. Calmly, confidently, unapologetically. That isn't flattery. That isn't imitation. That is a declaration of evolution. And here's where the storyline detonates. Because when Ferrari's golden child, the native son of Monaco, the face of their future, begins to channel the rhythm and rassicraft of the very man Ferrari brought in to potentially replace him, you've got the makings of a nuclear storyline. This isn't just Formula One. This is a psychological thriller wrapped in carbon fiber and red paint. This is legacy warfare. This is the next chapter of a dynasty written in tire smoke and telemetry. And the battlefield? Monaco. The most punishing, prestigious, precise piece of tarmac in all of motorsport. A place where the difference between greatness and heartbreak is measured in tenths of a second, or less. Where engine power becomes irrelevant, and millimeter-perfect finesse becomes king. This is Hamilton's theater. Here, Lewis hasn't just raced, he's danced. A silent assassin in silver and black. His Monaco laps are symphonies of precision. Slip angle ballet. Traction control sorcery. While others fight the track, he seduces it. Watch any of his pole laps. He doesn't take corners, he paints them. And Leclerc? For years, Charles has been Monaco's tragic protagonist. Breathtaking in qualifying, sometimes superhuman, but cursed by chaos on Sunday. Mechanical failures. Wall brushes. Bad luck. Monaco has never been kind to him. But now, something's shifted. Something internal. He's found rhythm. Patience. Restraint. He's learning when to strike and when to wait. When to breathe. When to kill. He's not just learning from Hamilton. He's absorbing him. And what we're watching now is unprecedented. Leclerc's driving is beginning to mirror Hamilton's DNA. His telemetry? Echoing Lewis's throttle fingerprints. His feedback? Sharper. Cleaner. His laps? Smarter. He's not just fast anymore, he's composed. Dangerous. Complete. The paddock is feeling it. Ferrari engineers are whispering. Strategy teams are scrambling. Rival garages are double-checking data. Hamilton himself, he sees it. He knows it. He can feel the shadow creeping up behind him. Because whether he intended it or not, Lewis has passed something to Charles, something unspoken. And now, two generational forces are converging in the tight, twisting alleyways of Monte Carlo. One, a 7-time world champion with wisdom etched into every braking zone. The other, a young titan coming into his final form, armed with raw talent, new knowledge, and a burning hunger to take the crown by force. This isn't a race. This is a reckoning. So when those 5 red lights go out, remember, you're not just watching for pole. You're watching for a shift in the balance of power. You're watching the future rewrite itself. Because if Charles Leclerc becomes both himself and a student of Hamilton, then every team on that grid better start watching their mirrors. Because the Prince of Monaco is no longer just racing to win. He's racing to become legend. Just as the next evolution of Lewis Hamilton's journey in red begins to spark into life, Ferrari's engineers, quietly, methodically, and with the precision of master watchmakers, have dropped a tactical bombshell. In the hidden corridors of Maranello, far from the noise and scrutiny, they've unearthed an aerodynamic relic from the past. Not a relic in the nostalgic sense, but a weapon. A reincarnation of the high downforce rear wing that once ruled the unforgiving twists of Monte Carlo. This isn't about living in history. This is about rewriting the present. Recalibrating the entire philosophy of a team that, for too long, prioritized top speed over cornering faith. Alongside a re-engineered suspension configuration, lower ride height, tightened dampers, razor-sharp mechanical grip, Ferrari is sending a message to the rest of the grid. The red beast is no longer fighting with a blindfold on. And Hamilton? He feels it. Since that very first pre-season test, he's been pounding the same warning drum: instability under braking, chaotic rear-end behavior, a car that refused to listen. The echoes of frustration were unmistakable. But now, in Monaco, something is different. Something is clicking. For the first time since joining the Scuderia, he might finally be stepping into a machine that responds to his input like an extension of his own instincts. This car, with its newfound poise and predictability, could finally allow him to stop surviving and start attacking. And where better to unleash that fire than the serpentine maze of Monaco? Because here, every lap is a flirtation with disaster. Every apex is a whisper from the barrier. There are no wide margins, no escape routes, only precision, courage, and rhythm. Qualifying isn't important here, it's everything. Nail that lap, and you don't just fight for position. You fight for legacy. And Hamilton? He arrives in the Principality not just with confidence, but with momentum that feels nuclear. After a surgical, almost poetic drive in Imola, from P12 to P4, he lit up the paddock with a line that reverberated through every team radio. If we qualify better, we'll be winning. That wasn't a soundbite. That was a forecast. A warning shot. A prophecy. And it wasn't just his fans who took notice. Because across the garage, Charles Leclerc, Monaco's native son, walks into this weekend with a storm cloud overhead. Imola should have been his redemption arc. But instead, it turned into another chapter in a book of tactical misfires and broken trust. A mistimed pit stop. A missed opportunity. And then, that radio outburst. I don't care. We are speaking about ourselves. It wasn't just frustration, it was exposure. The kind of statement that slips through when a driver stops protecting the team and starts defending his own dignity. But here's the plot twist no one saw coming. Instead of spiraling, Leclerc is adapting. Evolving. In a rare moment of raw vulnerability, he admitted that Hamilton's relentless precision, his methodical nature, his almost scientific approach to feedback and performance, is reshaping the way Leclerc himself prepares. No more gut feelings. No more emotional driving. Now, it's about the process. The grind. The surgical pursuit of perfection. And that should terrify the rest of the grid. Because when Leclerc learns discipline, and Hamilton feels empowered, Ferrari doesn't just have a strong car. It has two monsters in the cockpit. So what's really at stake in Monaco? This isn't just a Grand Prix. It's a battle for psychological supremacy. It's a question of coexistence. Two alpha predators, one iconic team. Can they co-elevate? Can they push each other beyond the brink without imploding under the weight of their egos? This weekend isn't just about strategy or upgrades. It's about identity. Ferrari, for the first time in years, is no longer just reacting. They're striking. Hamilton is hunting redemption. Leclerc is reinventing himself. The car is awakening. And Monaco, the cruel glittering jewel of the F1 calendar, is about to test them all. Every millimeter, every breath, every ounce of nerve. Because when Ferrari dares to believe, when its drivers are in sync with the machine, and when Monaco becomes more than just a venue, it becomes a crucible. Anything is possible. And if they get it right, the paddock won't just be talking. The world will be watching. Because when Charles Leclerc, the spark that refuses to die, the thunder wrapped in silk, starts to channel his fire through the calm, calculated glacier that is Lewis Hamilton, Ferrari doesn't just evolve. It transcends. This isn't strategy. This isn't coincidence. This is alchemy. Ferrari is no longer just a scarlet machine fueled by passion and pain. Now, for the first time in what feels like generations, it has something it's always lacked: symmetry, composure. A formula not built on chaos, but on coexistence. Fire and frost, aggression and precision, rage and wisdom. Finally, in rhythm. This isn't just balance. This is a revolution in red. And this weekend? This isn't just about whether Charles can finally conquer his cursed home race. It isn't just about whether Lewis can rise again from the ashes of doubt and silence. It's about whether Ferrari itself can rewrite its fate. Whether this team, long torn by internal battles, sabotaged by politics, weighed down by legacy and ghosts, can finally break free. Not from rivals. From itself. Because something is shifting behind those garage doors. You can feel it. The whispers are gone. The silence is over. The engineers? Talking differently. The pit wall? Acting smarter. The upgrades aren't just physical, they're psychological. The team isn't just tweaking downforce. It's rewriting its entire identity. And the core of it all? Leclerc and Hamilton. No longer isolated. No longer cornered by ego. They're trading data, dissecting laps, swapping secrets, not to beat each other, but to build something bigger. Something together. They're not just teammates anymore. They're soldiers on the same front line. A united front against the giants. Red Bull's juggernaut, McLaren's surge, Mercedes' looming shadow. This is more than a pairing. It's a philosophy. A statement. That Ferrari can be more than nostalgia and heartbreak. That it can be reborn through cohesion. And if this bond holds, if it survives the pressure of Monaco's unforgiving streets, if it thrives under the global spotlight, then maybe, just maybe, this is the dawn of a new era for the prancing horse. Because what's at stake here? Everything. Red Bull still looks bulletproof, but the armor's cracking. McLaren isn't just fast, they're fearless. Mercedes? Quiet, but dangerous. And Ferrari? Ferrari is at a crossroads. A line in the sand. And the clock? It's not just ticking, it's roaring. This is not just about a race. It's about relevance. Legacy. Survival. Leclerc is no longer just raw speed. He's refined. Focused. Evolving. Hamilton isn't just a champion. He's a catalyst. A craftsman. An architect of change. And Ferrari is, finally, listening. So let me ask you this. Red Square, is Monaco the track where Charles rewrites destiny, or relives a nightmare? Red Square, is Hamilton's wisdom finally melting Ferrari's cold resistance to change? Red Square, are we witnessing a new Ferrari, not louder, not flashier, but smarter, deadlier, and more united than ever before? Tell us in the comments, is this the turning point? Is this where Ferrari stops being a memory and starts being a movement? And if you're still here, you're not a casual viewer. You're a believer. A fighter. A tifosi through and through. So obliterate that like Charles on a quali lap. Subscribe if you crave F1 without filters, without fluff, just fire. Turn on that notification bell because this Monaco GP might be the moment everything flips upside down. This isn't just another race. It's a reckoning. A rebirth. A revolution on the Riviera. And trust us, you won't want to miss what happens next.